everyone, and welcome to First on Fraud, the podcast where we shine the spotlight on the dark side of real estate, exposing the fraudsters and all their wild schemes. Each month, we dive into the scams, the stories, and share tips on how you can protect yourself and your deal. From fake listings to forged documents and everything in between, we've got you covered like a First American title policy. And everyone, this is Matt Sager, the Senior Operations Counsel for First American Title Direct Division.
And you are Sarah Frano, the Director of Underwriting Fraud Risks.
We're going to talk about seller impersonation fraud here, but really only in the context of fake IDs and how to spot them, because I want everybody to be able to spot a fake ID when they see it.
Seller impersonation can happen in many forms, in many instances, but with how easy it is to get a fake ID, I can assume anyone's identity so easily.
So easily.
And
it doesn't even have to be the seller. They can be doing a loan. It can be an owner impersonation. And really, owner impersonation, seller impersonation, that's when someone is taking the ID, their identity, and assuming it as their own to take out a loan or to sell the property as if they were the owner of the property. So let's talk about fake IDs and how to spot them.
I have a great story for you. I found my daughter's fake ID.
Matt and I were sitting next to each other at a conference, and you reach over and you hand me an ID. And I look at it, and immediately I was like, it's fake.
Well, what was your first clue, Sherlock? It took me by surprise. I learned some things about my daughter. Were surprising to me. I didn't know she was a resident of New Jersey. That was new information. And I didn't know that she was born in 2002.
Which she was not.
What were the signs?
What was interesting about your daughter's ID is that they used her picture and her real live signature. And what I see over and over again on the fake IDs is digital signatures. That's the number one thing I look for, is the digital signature, because they're just using templates. And your daughter's had a live signature on it. So where did she get the ID?
Off the worldwide internet. Yeah. It was cheap. It was easy.
How much did she pay for it?
She didn't want to tell me.
Oh, she used your credit card? Just look at your credit card statement, Matt. Didn't occur to you?
All of a sudden, I feel like my life is crumbling right now.
It was probably about $50 at most, maybe $100, but probably like $50.
It was under $100.
Yeah.
It was and it looked good. It looked good.
People don't realize how easy it is to get fake IDs. Now, your daughter actually got a physical ID.
It was a physical ID.
But what we see in our transactions over and over again, especially in the seller impersonation realm, is digital fake IDs.
So what's a digital? How do you get a digital fake ID? When's that used?
Templates. So you can just download templates online and you can buy the templates, whatever. Again, these are even cheaper because it's just a template, and then you can use the template over and over and over again, which is what I see over and over again, because I see the same pictures on repeat, and they just use this template and they substitute in a picture, and then they put in the owner's name, and they'll have enough information about the owner to make it appear real. But what they can't do on those is do a live signature, and they do a digital signature, and they miss all the security features. Like your daughter's had some holograms and stuff like that to it, right?
It did. It had the TSA star.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was good. She picked a good one. There are ones out there that are considered scannable, and I think that surprises people, and I don't really think it should, only because if you've know anything about crime, people have been moving around the world on fake passports forever, since there's been anything of paper that can be fabricated or forged. I mean, think of 007 and his cachet of passports, right? And identities. Anything that can be fabricated has been fabricated for a long time, but now, hey, let's do all these security features and scannability. And there are passports and there are IDs that are scannable, and that makes, ID verification even tougher to do. Um, but I will say like 99% of the IDs that I see are really bad, and they're really just coming from these templates that people download, and they misspell the person's name, they get the height wrong, they get the race wrong, they get the gender wrong, the eye color, they're paying no attention, and then just plop in different pictures into there.
So when you're getting an ID, what's the first thing you should look for? What's the most important thing to look for? Just to jump out at you and say, danger, Will Robinson, that it may be fake.
So I look at the picture. Because they are using pictures that are stock images, they pull them from the internet, or certain programs have a database of pictures. So they'll just plug in these pictures, but they're very two-dimensional because they're commercial photos.
So what
They're
do you mean
not
by
real.
two-dimensional?
So they're just very flat. So
Okay.
like right now, even though we're on video, I have shadows, right? And there's shadows
Okay.
around. There's imperfections. You can see my wrinkles and things like that. But these photos are going to be a little too perfect. Even if the person is aged, the skin texture quality is going to be a little too perfect. And the picture is going to look a little too perfect. There is no DMV in the world who has good lighting. They just don't, right? So if you see the lighting being full face, it's probably fake, because in a DMV, the lighting is from above and it's going to cast
That's going to
shadows on the
create a bunch of
face.
shadows.
Right. And so if you're not seeing those shadows, that's an indication that the picture is fraudulent. And then I look around the outside, because they will cut and paste to match the outside the background to match with whatever state. And so they will do a terrible job of cutting and pasting around, especially hair, of doing that photoshopping. And they'll miss that, and you'll see, bad edges going around. So I look at the picture, I look at the signature. If it is a digital signature, all the letters are the same and it looks like cursive, but it's all very uniform, it's a digital signature. And DMVs require a live signature. Even if you're doing it on one of those pads, it is a live
It's,
signature.
but it tends to be a weird signature because it's on that pad.
Right. But it won't be like typed like our name is right here, where it's all the same and perfect.
Is there any way to verify a driver's license number?
Some states have that like publicly available, where you can plug in the number into a open database to see if that number is a legitimate driver's license number. It won't tell you if the license you're looking at is legitimate, but it will tell you if that number is an active, valid number. Yes, and that's publicly. You can look that up. It just depends on the state. Um, but otherwise, my number one recommendation is to use an ID verification service. And there's plenty of them out there now. And they're out there in the marketplace, and they're targeting our industry for good reason, because we need it. We absolutely need it.
I don't think it's wrong with how prevalent fraud is to treat almost every transaction, unless you know them, you need to verify who they are. Do you think it's wrong to treat every transaction, if you don't know them, to treat it as suspect?
I always say, if I have to have my ID scanned to rent an Airbnb, I should have to scan my ID for selling real estate. So, I encourage everyone out there to use an ID verification tool, an ID verification vendor. Using an ID verification tool and a vendor is so key right now, especially with how prevalent, fraud is.
Knowing how easy it is to get a fake ID, I want to go get a new one because I've never liked my photo. I
Matt, you could
want
get
the two.
hair. You could get hair now.
No one would recognize me. Can I tell you a quick story about
Sure.
that?
Please.
So my son, when he was about 6, was going through our wedding album, and he puts it down and he goes to my wife and said, "Mom, did your first husband die?"
No.
Yes, true story. True story.
No. Wow. Wow.
So
Wow.
I've accepted. I'm good. You know what? I make this look good. So
Well,
I
you look
wasn't
good,
talking
Matt.
about the hair, Sarah. All
No,
right.
no. That is hilarious. Well, thank you for sharing that, Matt, and thank you for sharing your very personal story
This
about your daughter,
I feel like
and
people know too
her.
much about me now.
They
So,
should. Everyone's going to know everything about you. But,
uh,
just remember, Matt, and you took the ID from her. She can get another one.
oh,
Click,
she did.
click,
She had
click.
to.
Oh, see, you know what? You need a backup. And
Yeah.
funny enough, even though you shared that with me, every time I do one of my fraud seminars, I have a parent come up to me afterwards and tell me the exact same story. So you're not alone. So we can use this professionally, but also personally, just being aware and being fraud aware is half the battle, not only in our professional lives, but in our personal ones as well. So thank you for sharing that story. Until next time, everyone, stay vigilant, stay fraud aware, and thank you. This episode is copyright 2025 by First American Financial Corporation, all rights reserved.